Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka FPL Drug.
How you doing, mate?
Yeah, pretty good. Been a hectic weekend. Been moving to a different flat, but yeah, all settled down now.
I was going to say, not only are you moving to a different flat this weekend, but you're packing for your holiday, which is the reason why we're recording on Sunday night. So, at time of recording, obviously Leicester, West Ham haven't played. We'll speak about them briefly at the end, and maybe a little prediction. But yeah, when this is in your ears, that game has obviously been played, but at time of recording, it hasn't. So, a little bit different this week. But yeah, I think we just jump straight into the games, James. And obviously, first things first. First game on Saturday, it was Liverpool 2, Burnley 0.
Yeah, good game. Burnley played relatively well. I mean, that's shown through Pope getting tier two on the saves,
Yeah.
6 saves. Obviously, we know what he's capable of. He's a very good keeper to have in the Sky game. Salah, obviously, we can be a little bit disappointed. Obviously, the captaincy choice of pretty much everyone for that game day.
Yeah. At least he hit tier.
Yeah, he got shots here, so there's something there for us. But obviously, it's a shame to see him get a goal chalked off for offside. Jota, obviously, a return for him. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
team as well.
I was going to say that was a surprising factor. It was tackle tier 1 for Jota. Yeah, he made 4 successful tackles, which took me by surprise when I saw the stats. It's not something I guess you normally associate with Jota, but I guess on the press, he was possibly winning balls. So that's something to keep an eye on. And yeah, I think Mane obviously probably got that return that we were expecting from Salah. Got himself shot tier 2 and a goal. So it would have been nice, but I think there were people out there that have probably got Salah in one team, Mane in the other. And if they pop the armband on Mane, you've got a pretty healthy return there.
Oh, you have. One thing that's maybe worth noting is that Van Dijk was sort of pretty far off passing tier. So
yeah,
42 passes. Obviously, we'd been expecting him to sort of hit those tiers fairly comfortably, but it looks like he's a little bit far off. I mean, it was only Henderson hit passing tier in this game.
Yeah, it was almost like I think Burnley didn't allow them to play it around the back, which I guess is credit to Burnley. And we've Klopp made the comments about Burnley, being quite aggressive and whatnot. So yeah, I think it just didn't allow them to get going. But normally you definitely expect Van Dijk to be hitting tier 2 passing. Right, moving on then to what was a far better performance from Aston Villa this week. It was Aston Villa 2, Newcastle 0.
Yeah, another return for Danny Ings. Obviously, he's not getting the tiers. We know he don't really get the tiers too much, but doesn't really matter if he gets those returns. Nothing more glamorous than a overhead kick, of course. Yeah, great bounce back from Aston Villa. I own Mings in Sky, I think in at least one of the teams. So it's great.
I think you've got them in both.
I think I do have them in both. I lied about Benrahma in both last week. I checked my team after the pod. I actually have him in one of my teams. But yeah, I've gone double Mings, and yeah, very happy with him.
Paid off this week. I mean,
yeah,
it was unfortunate because on FPL he's got 2 assists, but in this game he doesn't get the assist for being the one that kicked it that led to the handball for the penalty, which is why he doesn't have that assist. It's just one of those Sky rules that they don't give assists for that. But the other point of note is the fact that obviously El Ghazi took the penalty when Danny Ings was on the pitch. So that's something to consider. I don't expect El Ghazi to be part of that front 4 when Watkins is back, but something to keep an eye on. And I think the other amusing stat from this game is the fact that nobody across either team hit any tier in Sky. It was a bonusless game.
Yeah, not many passes, not many tackles, not many shots.
No, not a lot at all. One of those games where I think Villa were clinical in obviously getting the 2-0 result. Right, moving on then. to what was wasn't the best of games. It was Crystal Palace 0, Brentford 0.
Yeah, no return for Tony. We got tears out of him. We got shot tier 1.
Yep.
So that is something.
That's positive.
Shows he's at least having shots on goal. So hopefully it's just a matter of time before he puts one of them away. I mean, he's a promoted striker. It's worth sticking with him for a little bit, especially in Sky, where obviously we've got overhaul. So at least wait.
Yeah, there's only one more game, isn't there? So, or one more game day.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the player of note for me was Canos once again hitting tackle tier 2. So obviously he's a really cheap Brentford option, and potentially one to consider post overhaul if you're looking for a bit of an enabler. Because 2 weeks in a row he's hit tackle tier, and comfortably as well. So it's good to see.
Yeah, I imagine he's up there with Reece James as probably the top scorer in the game in terms of defenders. I mean, he's got a clean sheet and tackle tiers here. Very, very impressive returns for him.
I was gonna say if anybody started with him, I can't imagine they did, but if anybody did, you're laughing for these first 2 games. Absolutely right. Well, I don't think there's much else to talk about Palace Brentford this week, so we'll jump swiftly on to an absolute cracker of a game. It was Leeds 2, Everton 2.
Yeah, fantastic game. Rafinha getting a goal. Obviously, he did go down, so potentially could have won a pen, but it wasn't given. Obviously got shots here as well, so looking pretty for Rafinha. What I'd like to mention is Luke Ayling made 94 passes, which is quite amazing, really.
I know. It's not something I often expect from a Leeds kind of defender. I think it was last week Cooper hit passing tier. But to see all 3 of them at the back there, except for Firpo, who obviously got replaced in the 60th minute. All 3 hit. Well, Struijk was 1 pass away from tier 2, which was unfortunate. But not only were they hitting passing tier, all 3 of them were 1 or 2 tackles away from hitting at least tackle tier 1. So something to consider for obviously the Leeds defenders there. And I think there might be a couple of days where we may well need Leeds coverage post overhaul. So worth checking on those fixtures. I guess the disappointing factor is the Bamford obviously got an assist, but didn't hit a single shot on target. So occasionally that does happen with Patrick Bamford, but it wouldn't particularly turn me off of going there as and when we need a Leeds coverage. But I think Rafinha is probably one. On the other side, you've obviously got Everton, and standout performance with DCL for me. I thought he was unplayable at times. Could have easily had a hat-trick if it wasn't for Meslier. Got himself got himself, can you imagine, DCL tackle tier 2. Got himself shot tier 2. Obviously got his goal, played 90 minutes, and on his day, you're looking at an absolute stonker of a hole there. Would have been a hat-trick, man of the match probably. Great player, and I think firmly on my watch list for post overhaul.
Yeah, same for me. Just gonna have to see how it gets on in the next game, I guess.
Yeah, the other player for me in terms of Everton's front line, I can't remember his price in Sky, but I think it's relatively cheap, is Demarai Gray. So if you do need Everton coverage and you can't afford DCL, Demarai Gray might be quite a nice little differential. I thought he had a really good game. He was putting balls across the box constantly. He got his goal and was unlucky not to get a couple of assists. So one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's quite an exciting attack, that is, really.
Yeah.
With DCL, Iwobi as well.
Yep.
What a pace.
Yeah, 100%. Right, moving on then to a game that we all knew would be an absolute thumping, and a thumping it was. It was Man City 5, Norwich 0.
Very comfortable performance for Man City, as you'd expect. I mean, the defenders comfortably hitting passing tier. We're talking over 100 passes for the centre backs. So an assist and a goal for the centre backs. So those of you on DS and Laporte, you're flying.
Yeah, I was annoyed because I think Salah was the obvious captain. Obviously, we got to see the Liverpool lineup. We knew Salah was playing. So most of us probably put the armband on Salah, but I've got Diaz in both teams. In last season, Diaz was nailed usually for picking up, at least 10 points in a game. Obviously, with the assist, and this time around, he got 13. And I have seen a few people across the Sky community actually put the armband on him, either because they
Wow.
don't own Salah or they just went against him. So, yeah, 26 pointer for Ruben Diaz. And
Or nothing, yeah.
yeah, I think it's something you're going to commonly see as well. For me, the most surprising out of the rest of that Man City side was Gabriel Jesus. Obviously played right wing rather than through the middle. Got 2 assists, but also got passing tier, which was very surprising for a forward player.
Yeah, yeah, very surprising. Credit to him.
Mm.
I mean, not really one we've been speaking about. Really, we kind of almost sort of wrote him off. Like people speak about Man City and they say they don't have a striker, which is maybe a little bit disrespectful to
A little bit.
Jesus. But yeah, credit to him. 2 assists, good performance. You'd imagine that would keep his place in the game for Arsenal.
Yeah, for sure. And once again, I think the enabler that we spoke about last week, for me, potentially Billy Gilmore post overhaul. The fact that he was able to pick up still 51 passes against Man City, by far more than double, I think, any other midfielder in that Norwich team, shows that I think he's going to be the one that the ball goes through a lot with Norwich. So yeah, I wouldn't put people off throwing him in their teams if they needed to spend the funds elsewhere.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm amazed he got that close, to be honest, to 60 passes.
Absolutely. Right, moving on then to the evening kickoff on the Saturday. And finally, some defensive returns. It was Brighton 2, Watford 0.
Yeah, very solid performance from Brighton against obviously what was a dangerous attack from Watford last week. Obviously, Sarr, very tricky player to deal with, but they dealt with him. Duffy scored a decent header,
He did, yeah.
and also just about made a passing tier 2. So with the clean sheet in again, it's a pretty big haul for anyone that's actually on him.
It is, yeah. The standout player for Brighton for me, particularly in terms of Sky, was Webster. So I've taken the punt on him in one of my teams at the start of the season. Picked up 103 passes in this game, like passing tier 2, and got himself tackle tier 1 as well. It was a really good performance. And add the clean sheet to that, yeah, it was a tidy little haul. I think the only other player potentially people have gone on. I know that Dronach from the Man On pod is Neil Mopey in one of his Sky teams. Got himself a goal, but then got himself injured at the same time. So one to look out for. Obviously, we've only got one more game before overhaul, but it might be a case that Mopey misses out on that. It's something to listen out for this week in Potter's press conference. As for Watford, I don't think there's a lot to really talk about, particularly for Sky this week. I don't think Sarr and that had a particularly great game, and I'm not really likely to consider Watford players unless we have to this season.
No, it's only really kind of Sarr that I find particularly exciting. But with regards to Sky, I'm not sure he's as good a pick for the Sky game. So yeah, I'm kind of not really thinking about them, if I'm honest.
Nah, not at all. Right, let's move on then. And the first game I actually went to, and what a game it was. It was Southampton 1, Manchester United 1.
Yeah, very strong performance from us. Fair play to Jack Stevens for hitting out at his critic, Matt Samuel, and getting tackled here and playing well.
He did, yeah. Honestly, I know I criticised him at the start of the week. I criticised him on the last podcast. I even was worried when I saw the team sheets and I saw Jack Stevens once again at the back there without Bednarak, but he actually had a really good game. And yeah, credit to him. He got stuck in. I almost feel like he enjoys these kind of opposition. Someone that he can rile up. He was getting into Bruno Fernandes. Obviously won the ball off of him, in my opinion, fairly for the goal. And yeah, just went about his game really well. Kind of knew when to hold back a little bit and whatnot. But yeah, to pick up tackle tier 2 for Stevens, yeah, really, really good performance. Oriol Romeu, as always, got himself tackle tier 2. Yeah, just another really strong performance in central midfield.
I'm amazed that he's made 6 tackles and not got a yellow card.
So am I. To be fair, not one of his challenges this week were dubious. Like there wasn't one where you went, oh, like you shouldn't be doing that. He actually had a really solid game, and I think I predicted on the Planet FPL pod that he was nailed to get a yellow card, so I got that one wrong.
No, yeah, normally it's like a ritual. He get a yellow card almost every game he plays. But yeah, very impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously on the other side, I think it was Wan-Bissaka for Man United got tackle tier 2. Luke Shaw was nowhere near tackle tier or passing tier, and Maguire and Lindelof, yeah, weren't. They were both close to passing tier 1, but I think that was probably just credit to the way that Saints went about their game, and in my opinion, deservedly got the draw. Honestly, could have won it. Adam Armstrong, the one shot on target that he had there, was 1-on-1 with David De Gea and just hit it straight at him.
It's a shame.
Yeah. Moving on then to the second game, and I think the penalty taker took us a bit by surprise in this one. It was Wolves 0, Spurs 1.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise to see Dele Alli stepping up instead of Son. Obviously, he did win the penalty, but the talk was that Son would be the taker without Kane in the team. So obviously that doesn't appear to be the case. So it takes a bit of shine off of potentially owning Son, I guess. Obviously, he is still capable of scoring quite a few goals without the pens. We know that from previous seasons. But yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. Obviously, we spoke about Sarr, the Wolves keeper, hitting saves tier last week, and he's hit it again. And without that pen, he'd have had a clean sheet as well. So again, another one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I agreed, because I think Patricio last season, a lot of people went onto him for Wolves coverage, and he wasn't particularly great. But the fact that Sarr is picking up these shot or save tiers, and on another day could have kept a clean sheet if it wasn't for that pen. I think he could be a really good shout if we need Wolves coverage. Kilman and Neves obviously both picked up tackle tier 2. Worth keeping an eye on. I think, in fairness, if we need Wolves coverage, I don't think many of their players are overpriced, which is something to consider. So really useful there. The only option, I think, for me in Raul Jimenez, it's concerning to see that he didn't have a single shot on target. But, he's only played 2 games. He's come back from a horrific injury, so I won't.
And it's a tough fixture as well.
It is, yeah. What I'm intrigued by, and I might have to, put out a poll or whatnot tomorrow on Twitter, was how many people would have made the Salah to Son 2-for-1. Because I know quite a few people were suggesting it as an option if you wanted to make a transfer this week. Obviously, Salah played yesterday. We're recording on Sunday, and then Son played today. So the option was there to move on to him and then potentially captain him over Bruno. Obviously, you actually probably would have got an extra point here. But for me, I don't think it was worth the move. I would have wanted 15 to 20 points in the next 2 games. Now, that's not to say he doesn't go mental against Watford. But it shows here, in a game where he might have been expected to get a return. He had 1 shot in 10 passes and then got subbed in the 72nd minute for Harry Kane. So if Kane is back in that Watford game as well, does that stifle his option even more?
It's hard to say. Obviously, they've had games where they've been setting each other up and they've both been firing. So, I mean, if you've done that move, then yeah, the Watford game is one to potentially captain and look forward to. But yeah, again, the transfer used is a valuable thing that you can be used later in the season. Yeah. And as you say, you want to be getting sort of 15 points.
Agreed. All right, well, moving on then to the last game of today, in a game that was Romelu Lukaku's second debut for Chelsea. It was Arsenal 0, Chelsea 2.
Yep, straight in for Lukaku and straight in the back of the net. So hitting shots here as well. Potentially someone we've got to think about getting on our teams. Maybe for overhaul. I think that's going to be in people's minds. Maybe try to save a bit of money elsewhere to get him up top, I
Yeah,
think he'd be very much a captainable option for anyone.
exactly. I think for me, I'm not sure I'd start with him an overhaul, given the difficulty of Chelsea's fixtures. But it might be one where you pop him in the planner when they really swing and try and figure out a way of the moves that you're going to make. And looking at the fixtures, I mean, I'll admit at the moment I haven't fully looked at the fixtures in depth for post overhaul. We'll obviously do an overhaul show where we'll run through that. We'll look at likely, the way that we might set up and moves that are maybe in a month's time. But yeah, Lukaku 100%. He looked sharp today. Looked fit, firing, raring to go, and obviously it's what Chelsea fans want to see. I think he could be a big difference this season for them. In terms of the back line and where we normally go to for Chelsea assets, all of them produce the goods. Obviously Mendy got saved here. Reece James got himself a goal and an assist, so that's one hell of a return if you add on the clean sheet there as well. And obviously Rudiger just made tier 1 pass, and I think it was in the last 20 seconds he hit his 60th pass. So yeah, got himself tier 1 there. And then the other two, Christensen and Aspilicueta, both comfortably made passing tier 2. So it's what we expect from a Chelsea backline, and it's what we spoke about last week, that generally Chelsea defenders are hitting tiers week in, week out.
Yeah, they are very good options to have. Obviously, Reece James running away with it in terms of the golden assist. Jorginho still ticking away, getting his passing tier just about.
Yeah, I thought he was a surprising stat, given how dominant he was last week. Obviously, I think it was over 100 passes, wasn't it? And then he hit tackle tier. For him to just scrape passing tier and not hit tackle tier this week was a little bit of a surprise, but I think Arsenal are a very different opposition, aren't they?
They are. So I think they took a bit more of the ball. So that's where he's kind of struggled to hit it. But yeah, most weeks, I mean, he still hit it this week. He's going to be hitting those tiers.
Agreed, yeah. All right then. And obviously we're recording before the West Ham Leicester game tomorrow, but I thought it might be quite fun to have a little prediction and maybe let the listeners know who we're captaining in both of our teams for the West Ham Leicester game. So I'll go first, and I'm predicting a Desmond Tutu. I think there are going to be goals in this game. For me, in my first team, I'm probably going to be captaining Antonio. I've also got Harvey Barnes and Soyuncu in this, but I just think with West Ham being at home, I fancy Antonio. In my second team, I don't have West Ham coverage for this one. I went Ings over Antonio just as a bit of a punt, but I've got Tielemans and Soyuncu, and I think this could be the kind of game where Tielemans has some fun in midfield. I'm potentially expecting him to pick up, say, tackle tier and passing tier. He's really useful at that. But he might be the one that, assists the likes of Harvey Barnes or Vardy playing a ball in behind. So my captaincy is going to be on him for my second game.
Okay, cool, nice. I was telling the truth. I've got Benrahma in both teams. Just one of my teams, I've got Kufau as well.
Okay, that'll be the.
But I think I'm going Benrahma in both.
Ooh.
I think there's going to be goals in this game. So I don't expect a Kufau clean sheet. No. So I'm expecting a sort of a 1-1 draw is what I'm expecting.
Okay. Hopefully it'll be a good game, and fingers crossed tomorrow night you'll be settled wherever you're staying, mate, and you might be able to sit down and watch that game.
Yeah, we'll see. The Wi-Fi in Scotland, I don't
know. Who knows, mate? Who knows? All right then. Let's quickly look ahead then to next week, and we've obviously only got 2 game days to worry about in Saturday and Sunday, which is nice to see before we go into the international break and our overhaul period. So looking at the fixtures, I think it's quite open in terms of captaincies. Where are you likely to go on both Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, it is tricky. It might be a bit boring, but I might actually be tempted to go for Tyrone Mings against Brentford. I think he's got the potential to hit tier there, but also potentially get an attack and return, and then obviously a clean sheet. So I think him alongside obviously Danny Ings is another one I'm tempted by. for that game.
Yeah.
I think that fixture against Brentford is very tempting. I mean, on the Sunday, Rafinha is one I could do. Obviously, Bruno though is going to be the one where you might feel pressured to do it because everyone else is gonna do it.
Agreed.
But yeah, I might be tempted to be a bit different and maybe pick Rafinha over Bruno. But
okay, I'll be
that one through.
bold call. Yeah, I think on the Sunday I'm going to be on Bruno in both teams. For those that have made the move to say Son, you've got a decision to make because obviously Son is at home to Watford and Man United are away to Wolves, so it could be a tough game. On the Saturday, I'm in two minds at the moment. So I either want to captain, say, Antonio in the team that I've got him at home against Crystal Palace, or Harvey Barnes away to Norwich as is the punts. But I don't know in my head because we get to see the Man City Arsenal team sheets before locking in our captain. If I see the likes of, say, Aubameyang, Lacazette and whatnot still missing from Arsenal, they're not really firing at the moment. They haven't looked particularly great. I might just be a bit boring and go Ruben Dias. Hopefully get a clean sheet passing to you. I'll take the 10 points and run as captaincy.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. That's a pretty safe pick, I'd say.
Yeah. Right. I think that draws an end to this podcast then. Obviously we've got next week. We'll do our final rundown of the match week 3, and then we'll probably look at overhaul and whatnot, and we might even look to get a guest on. But keep your eyes out. But yeah, for now, I will let you get on with your packing, James, and I will let the listeners finish up. So it's been an absolute pleasure. It's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Cheers, guys.